To follow up on that question, Ulysses, you mentioned that the Assembly has not done enough community empowerment. How would both of the candidates, how would you ensure that the next SA was more engaged in empowering communities around Cornell? And we will start with Stephen on that one.
Sure. So I think if you look at the time frame of the Student Assembly, next year is pretty important, byline funding. And all eyes are going to be on the Student Assembly. We're delegating and we're distributing $6.5 million worth of student money to 30 organizations on campus. So we need to take advantage of that spotlight. And not only do we need to reach out to those byline funded organizations to see what they want to have in terms of input, not just in terms of financially and not just in terms of internally, but something that they actually want to see in terms of legislation that affect the entire campus. Whether that's on issues about diversity and inclusion, whether that's on issues about late night safety. These are issues that align each of our interests, regardless of our ethnic affiliation, regardless of which corner of the community that we affiliate ourselves with. So, that said, I want to really take advantage of the spotlight that is going to be placed on the Student Assembly next year and reach out to organizations. And it doesn't just start with byline, but every 938 student organizations that are registered with the Cornell SAO office.
I think one thing what we need to do going forward into this next year, the big thing is information sharing. My opponent is the Vice President of Public Relations, and I would challenge all of you to ask yourselves just how much do you know about the Student Assembly? How well do you think this year we actually communicated all of our initiatives? There's a plan that's in place, a PR plan, but you probably don't know about it because we haven't been following it. And I think that's one thing going forward we need to do is we need to help everybody here understand exactly how relevant the Student Assembly is to them, to their struggles, how we can be used as a resource going forward. And we can talk about office hours and town halls all day long, but it's not just about that. Katerina Athanasiou, one of the writers for The Sun, mentioned in an article not too long ago how the Student Assembly and the administration overall does not do enough to foster students' creativity. How so many students have so many great ideas, but they die because they get stuck up in the bureaucracy that is Cornell administration. And that's one thing we need to change. We need to prioritize students and help them and help foster their creativity here.
So just before we move on to the third question, we're actually going to ask that audience members hold off clapping until the end. I'm going to actually, in 1 second, I'm going to give everyone 1 second to clap one more time for these candidates, and then we're going to hold off until the end. So 1, 2, 3. So now we're going to hold off until the end. Thank you. Third question.
All right, so my question directed at who first? Stephen, right? Directed at Stephen first is, what is the first issue you would tackle as SA president, and how would you keep the administration accountable to fulfilling that promise?
Definitely. So I think if you look at, I'm all about bridging communities and making sure that all of our interests are aligned. And I'm going to continue to say this, it's not just about my initiatives, but it's also about yours. That said, one of the things that I think we all have in common is late night safety. The fact that it doesn't matter where you are or who you look like, everyone's entitled to a safe walk home. So I really want to make sure that everyone knows about the resources that we have on campus. I would love to see blue light expanded to every single day on campus. I would love to see freshmen know exactly what resources that are available. I would love to see that students are not just feeling that they have to sleep somewhere that they're not comfortable with because they don't know that blue light exists. Or that, what are the numbers on campus that you can contact with if you're feeling unsafe. I really want to, and I think going from there, an actual tangible initiative or tangible idea is looking at first-year students. There's so much opportunity to get involved on campus, and freshmen always take advantage of that, but giving them the tools to succeed from the beginning is something that I really want to work on as president of the Student Assembly.
Force of habit is understandable. No, so the first thing I really want to do is, my opponent actually mentioned it not too long ago, is we're going to be dealing with a byline funding year. So really the very first thing we need to do is come up with an organized plan. And I think one thing that we've seen that the current assembly has not done is we lack the direction. We lack the cohesive executive board. So one thing we need to do is first create an overall plan. I want to see that all of our vice presidents right now have some sort of plan that work that we can adhere to. Then we need to set a standard set of criteria that we will be evaluating any sorts of appeals that come before the assembly on. That being said, even though byline funding is happening, we cannot afford to sacrifice productivity on this assembly. We cannot stop the momentum that this assembly has built. So again, I focused a lot on the Diversity Affairs Coalition, but again, my priorities, and this is something my opponent shares, our priorities need to be what the students' priorities are. So if the students want to prioritize late night safety, that's exactly what we will prioritize. But we will also have to focus on such a broad range of things. So again, my thing will really be making sure that students are actively engaged in various parts of campus, that they are given an effective voice in every realm of the student experience.
Great. To follow up on that, my question would be, how would you respond to your candidate's priorities, and how would you, like, what are your opinions on your opponent's answer?
Just point of clarification, is this if I was on the assembly with him, or?
No,
Like
just
currently?
Or just currently? Oh, okay. No, I don't think my opponent has a horrible agenda at all. I don't think that. I think that's a great initiative to take forward, or to bring forward to the light of the student body, But at the same time, again, we do have to focus on such a broad range of things, and we need to. And one thing that I pride myself on is being able to balance a lot of things at one time. And I actually chair 2 committees on this assembly as it stands. I have always had a dedicated constituency in the College of Architecture, Art, and Planning. If you want to see results that come through there, you will see that we've been talking about collaborative coursework for years, and we finally were awarded a $1.4 million Mellon grant just to do collaborative coursework and collaborative studios because of what I pushed for, because of what students brought forth to my attention. Whatever students come forward, whatever priority students bring forward to this assembly, we have to, or I would have to, as president, actually delegate, make sure that our representatives are doing their jobs and responding to those needs of the communities respectively.
So my opponent, he's definitely mentioned, he has a lot of experience. One of the things I value more than experience is relevant experience. If you look at byline funding next year, I've been on the Appropriations Committee for 2 years. One of those years was when we actually delegated and distributed $6.5 million. Now, if you're looking for leadership and the ability to make the Student Assembly stay on course and not only deal with the struggles of byline funding, but also achieve the initiatives and carry on based on what the Student Assembly wants, you're going to look for someone who's been on that committee, who's made the funding decision. And I bring that to the table, which is something I want to contrast with Ulysses. I think in the area of byline funding, he hit it right on the head. And I really want to drive home this fact. Based on my past experiences, I know that I have friends in different communities. I've been a leader in different communities. And I know that I can create that tangential point where we can bring everyone's ideas to the table and achieve something tangible by rallying the administration and uniting as one student body. Thank you.
Okay, and a second follow-up question is that these 2 issues, byline funding and late night safety, have been talked about quite a bit. So how would your approach as SA president differ from what's been done in the past on these issues?
I'll go first? Great. So first thing, I guess byline funding. I think we've had an unprecedented amount of interest in organizations wanting to become byline funding, and that's why we need to make that protocol very objective and very, it's not subjective where I feel that this organization serves the student body, or well, I feel that this one does. I think it needs to be very objective. So one, we're not hurting anyone's feelings, because at the end of the day, it's the SA's job to make sure that everyone's feels represented. But 2, so that we set the precedent going forward. Because at the end of the day, the SA sets a legacy for the class of 2015, 16, and so on, all the way down the line. In the realm of late night safety, I think it's a combination of outreach and PR, which is why I'm so passionate about becoming VP of PR. It's making sure that not only do we send a broadcast message, but that we also connect with student groups as well. And I think if we get the word out and actually make people understand the resources that are available, and through innovative initiatives, through this like the safety task force that Anisha chaired, and creating an app that you can download from your phone, that's a student assembly initiative that we can push and that really resonates with the students. So I would make sure that we actually connect with the student body.
Sure. I'm going to agree. And just to be clear, this upcoming year, if re-elected to the Assembly, will be my 3rd byline funding cycle. So though I may not have served on the Appropriations Committee, I have definitely been a part of every single discussion regarding byline funding in this process. And I will tell you that every year we have had an issue with subjectivity. If you ask leadership from CAPSU and even just from Alana in general last year, they will tell you that they felt that the Assembly came in with its mind made up about that decision for applying for byline funding, and that it was not fair. So coming into this, again, I stress, we need to establish a very standard set of criteria by which we will evaluate appeals that come before the entire Assembly and make sure that is very transparent and clear to the entire community that comes before us. In terms of late night safety, I think great steps have been taken to address late night safety both by this Assembly and the past Assembly. And I do want to agree, we need to capitalize on those. We need to capitalize on the safety effort that's been done, but surveys are not enough. Surveys are not enough. We need to actively engage. We need to go to people and really ask how safe they feel. Sorry.
So that ends our debate for the presidential section, but we will give each candidate about 30 seconds to say whatever it is that they want to the audience. We'll start with Steve.
Great. So I really want to thank everyone for coming today, especially the moderators. I think it's imperative that the Student Assembly serve the job of uniting and serving each of the students on this campus, which is why I'm so glad to see everyone here. I really want to leave you with this point. I want to instill in you the belief that I can get the job done. I want you guys to trust me. I'm so passionate about student government, and I'm so passionate about representing you all. At the end of the day, we all need something to believe in, and I'm asking you guys to believe in freedom. Thank you.
We really need to, I really want everyone to understand the value of participatory governance. I really want us all, I want this Assembly going forward to really understand the value of one voice. And I would ask you to really think about it, ask yourselves, just how have we addressed as an Assembly, both of us, contrasting what we believe in and things we've done, look at our records, how have we addressed the needs of the students going forward? How have we actively engaged with different communities? How can we bridge those gaps? We've heard no solutions from our community. What is trust? Why do I need to trust you? Go forward. Let's really think about this. Go do your research. Please do your research. Please read everything about us. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it. Do some airplane traffic, something. That's it. Yeah. Okay.
We want to thank our presidential candidates. Now we can have a round of applause. And we'll now have the executive vice president candidates come to the front.